Hello everyone, I'm so excited. This is my first video talking about gear. On my channel, I essentially built that channel for myself. It's got a lot of my travel videos, but I wanted to make it easy for people like me that are not professional to just figure out what is truly the best camera you can bring in your trip, in your adventures. And what are the real factors to consider before purchasing a camera? I just want to make sure that I get straight to the point. First of all, what's your budget? Second of all, your destination and the kind of weather that you're expecting to have during your trip. And also, what level of experience are you expecting to bring back with you? And, are you just taking a few pictures and maybe a couple of videos here and there? Or do you really want to bring the whole experience because you're thinking of potentially scuba diving or climbing a mountain or visiting Iceland? I'll refer to Iceland quite a bit because it's my favorite destination in the entire world. So what level of experience do you want to bring with you, which is really important in a consideration? And also, what will you be doing with the video when you get back? Let's get down to it. What's the first thing you really have to consider bringing? First of all, your iPhone. The best camera you can use is the one you have with you. So your iPhone, #1 tool, slips in your pocket. You could take videos, you could take pictures with it, little selfie with your spouse, with your family, and especially if you want to have a little discretion in your video. If you're going at night, you're going to a nice restaurant, you don't want to start bringing your gear, and not all of us want to look like a YouTuber, so that's one thing to consider. This is a great example of what I'm talking about here. Michelle and I were walking on the beach in Thailand, and we decided to stop by at this club, Cafe Del Mar, which is awesome to have a drink and to have a meal right next to the beach. And I would not have felt comfortable taking out my action cam or any other cameras, so I had my iPhone ready and everybody had their phone, so I felt comfortable with recording the scene even though everybody was in their bathing suit and in their private moment. I certainly did not want, or would not have want, to pull out any other gear than my phone for this, to capture this moment. But you want to bring it to the next step. You want to be able to enjoy the experience. So depends on your destination, what will you bring? My second choice is an action camera. The one I have is the Action 3 from DJI. The Action 4 came out, and by the time you watch this video, maybe the Action 5 will already be out. But to me, this is super easy because it's point and shoot. So you press on a button and you shoot. And the beauty of this specific camera, it's got a screen in the back that you see from. And also, if you want to make it all about me, and there's a little screen right there in the front so that you could see yourself talk. It's actually very useful. You bring the camera a certain distance from you and you talk to the camera. So what is the advantage of an action cam? It's point and shoot. It's got the internal stabilization, so even if you start running or walking about, it's going to be stable for as long as you do the proper settings initially. So I'll give you an example. I went to Thailand and I was so excited, and I was visiting temples, and it was an amazing experience. I had this camera in one hand and I had my 360 camera that I will get to later in the other hand. And this camera was not really giving too much attention to it, so I was tilting it. So there is a horizontal leveling available, but it wasn't on. So my video was like this. So the horizontal was always crooked in some scenes. So that's something to consider, but otherwise, very easy, point and shoot. And also, it's weatherproof. waterproof and weatherproof. This particular model can go to depth up to 16 meters. Again, when I went to Thailand, I scuba dived for the first time in my life, which I didn't expect to do. I had this camera with me and it gave me amazing shots, amazing shots. This was all shot with the Action 3 underwater. Not only does it pick up the sound, but it also picks up beautiful, beautiful videos. One other thing to consider when you use an action cam is that you make sure that you hold it tight and you don't move your hand around the handle, because the little microphones all around it will pick up the sound. And wonderful also for walking. But again, you know, walking videos, I like doing those because when I went to Thailand, I was walking around Bangkok, and you just hold the camera while you walk around. It's just great. It captures certain good scenes, and it doesn't bring too much attention to yourself, because that's another factor that you have to consider. What other cameras do I use? I enjoy using a regular camcorder. This particular one is 4K. It's a Sony AX700. I bought this about, I think in 2019, if I'm not mistaken, 2018, 2019. It cost at the time 2,500 bucks Canadian, and the price really hasn't changed. I think they still make it available. Why bring this big thing? It's because of what you see right now, those nice shots of the puffins in Iceland. There's no way I would have gotten those shots with an iPhone or with an action camera, because the wide angle is too great. This camera has a 12 times optical zoom, and I think it goes up to 18 times digital zoom. Optical zoom means what? It means that the lenses are doing the work for zooming, so you get the best image quality. Digital zoom is that it starts zooming in the same way that you would walk towards your own television screen in order to get a bigger screen. That's pretty much, so you start to see the pixels, right? So I try to avoid using the digital zoom, but using the optical zoom, you get great scenes. This has been through rain, sleet, and snow. It's super rugged. It is not advertised as weather resistant, but it's been with me through about 5-6 trips to Iceland, and it's just totally reliable, super solid build quality, and 1-inch sensor. A 1-inch sensor, what does it mean? It's pretty much the largest sensor you could get at a consumer level camera. So does the Action Cam have a 1-inch sensor? Not this one, not the Action 4, maybe the Action 5 they will. But what does it mean? 1-inch sensor means a sensor is like your retina of your eyes. So the bigger the retina, the bigger the sensor, the more light is going to come in, and the more details of the pictures and the colors are going to be more vibrant. Because the way an action cam works, I'm not going to do any fancy computer graphics, but I will show you this as an example. An action cam does stabilization, but it's not physical stabilization, it is digital stabilization. That means that even if you move the camera around, the image is going to stay still. How do they do that? Is that they crop the picture so you don't have the full resolution of the sensor, and it's not even a 1-inch sensor. It's a much smaller sensor that is inside of an action cam. So even though the sensor is smaller, it has to crop in order to stabilize the picture, to give the room to be able to move so that you can move the camera, but the cropping remains horizontal. So that's how pretty much it works. I hope I've made myself clear, but it crops into the sensor so that it could stabilize the screen. That's how it works. So you lose a little bit of that resolution. You see how difficult it is, because in Iceland, it rains, and it snows. So of course I'm gonna bring my camera. But in Iceland, there's puffins, and there's nature, and there's glaciers, and there's mountains, and there's iceberg. I wanna bring this big camera with me. I have no choice. Also, in Iceland, sometimes there's so many things happening all around you. Just like when you're walking the streets of Rome, as you will see in the next video clip I'm gonna share with you. To me, if you have time for editing, a 360 camera, like this one here, it's the Insta360 X3. You see there's a lens on one side and there's a lens on the other side. So this captures 180 field of view, so pretty much everything around you. And this captures 180 field of view, pretty much everything behind you. And the stitching between those two lenses is done beautifully for as long as the subject you are filming is relatively far away from the camera. The Insta360, essentially, you hold it up like this, maybe above your head, okay, like that. And then you press record and it records everything around you. Totally everything in 5.7K. Now, 5.7K is a lot, but consider the fact that it's recording in the entire scene around you in 5.7K. So what does that mean? It means that you decide later the framing that you want to do. You know, when you see the making of movies and you see the director that goes like this, because that's what, okay, we're going to be recording this, we're going to be moving the camera like that. Well, this is what you wind up doing with your footage of the 360, is with your computer screen or with your iPhone, because it's got a great application for your smartphone. You could decide after you download or upload the footage on your phone or on your computer, you decide the framing that you want. And as you can see from this video in Venice, in front of the Trevi fountain, I am with Michelle and I'm videotaping ourselves in a wide angle, but I do want to remember the scene and the crowds of people all around us. So it is an amazing camera. One time I went to visit, I was again in Iceland. I took a helicopter ride to see the volcano. The helicopter pilot was nice enough to take my camera and extend the stick like this and then just pull it out of the helicopter as he was piloting the helicopter in order to get the view of the volcano. Imagine yourself again being in Thailand in a tuk-tuk and you take the camera. It's just wonderful. But the bad part of it, of the 360, that it takes time in editing. It takes a lot of space on your computer. And right now I am editing my Thailand video on, and I have transferred all the files on to those SSD hard drive that are pretty expensive. This is a Samsung T7. It's 2 terabytes of data, and I think I have 1.5 terabyte of videos from my 5-week Thailand / Singapore trip that I took with Michelle. And yeah, so it's been a full year and I have not finished doing the editing. One more thing, one last thing, because I'm gonna go back. By the way, this video is not sponsored at all. It's not sponsored. But I wish it was. And I certainly wish it was sponsored by Insta, because I'm the biggest fan of that 360 camera. This is the accessory when you plan to rent a car. If you're going to Italy, as you'll see on this upcoming video, I was in the streets of Sorrento, and this is the footage that I got with the Insta360 as an amazing dash cam. So essentially, this suction cup is right on the windshield, inside of the windshield, and you can put it any way you want. And you just tighten it, and it holds up like this. So you have one lens facing the outside and the other lens facing the inside of the car. And all this is hidden. This will be visible, but not this. Just like when the camera is on a stick, whenever you see someone using an Insta360 stick or any other stick like this, and when you look at your video, what you see is you see yourself holding your fist like this. You don't see the stick because the stick becomes invisible because it's right between the two lenses. Lens here, lens there. The stick is right in the middle. It doesn't pick it up. We're talking about 3 different types of camera: the Action camera, the 360 camera, and this camera, Sony camera. When I went to Thailand, I didn't bring this because sometimes, yeah, I wish I had it, but we were traveling with carry-on bag, a single carry-on bag and a small photo bag, and that was it. So I didn't have room for this, but I certainly brought my 360 camera, my Action cam, and my iPhone, because everything was fitting on this nice little bag. That is starting to show some mileage, but it's a great shoulder bag. You put it right in front of you like so, and you have everything that you need in there. So the Action cam, even the big camera here fits in it, but it just gets cumbersome. And it's got room for your batteries and for your SD card. So I highly recommend a little shoulder bag. Don't bring a camera bag that says Low Pro or Nikon or Canon on it, because you're gonna bring attention to yourself. I had a camera stolen in Barcelona because of that reason. So you wanna bring a camera bag, just take a specific or any generic backpack. And I just found out about this. This is an insert that goes into a regular backpack. So you could put your camera gear, it's got separators inside, you put your accessories in there, and it's like an insert of a backpack. You see it's not branded or anything, you just shove it down in your backpack and it's protected. All your gear is protected, and this is only 20 bucks. So highly recommend this specific tool. The latest acquisition that I did was this camera, the Osmo Pocket 3. Why would I want to purchase another camera when I have the 360, the Action cam, and the 4K camcorder that provides me with a great zoom lens for taking nature videos? This is a 1-inch sensor, and the 1-inch sensor is inside the lens here. I'll show you the magic trick when you open it up. You open it up like so, turns around, and boom, there's your camera. And do you remember what I said about the internal stabilization where you lose the resolution because of the cropping? This is a 1-inch sensor, but the stabilization is physical. Look, you see the lens stays put? So this, I'm lucky enough, fortunate enough to go to Japan in 1 month. I'm going to be using this for the walking parts of my video. meaning that when I'm going to be walking on the streets, I'm going to be holding it like that, and maybe actually using this attachment, and you slide the camera here, and then you attach it to your shoulder bag, and then you can walk around and enjoy the sights while the camera is videotaping. So that's the idea. I don't know if that's going to be the reality, but anyways, it's small. It doesn't bring too much attention to itself because it looks like an action cam. So why did I use this? Because of its capabilities in low light situations. The video is incredible in low light because it's a full size 1-inch sensor that is mechanically stabilized. That's the advantage of this. What's the disadvantage of this? It's not weatherproof. So if it rains, or if you're going on the beach, you don't want to bring this. You're better off with an action cam. But I'm going to Japan, and I'm imagining like almost a perfect world in Japan. I want to capture it with this camera whenever it's not raining. So that's the disadvantage of it, but that's the only disadvantage. It's really tiny. Now it looks long because it's got the tripod and it's got the extra battery pack attached to it. And one more thing too, keep away from children because of the mechanical stabilization. It looks relatively sturdy, but if you drop this once, I got the warranty of 2-year warranty. I usually never buy 2-year warranties, but I got it with this one. So that's the advantage and the disadvantages of each of those cameras. Next thing that you want to consider in your travel is the accessories. This is actually the second time of my life since I bought this over a year ago that I'm using the DJI Mic. Why bring the DJI Mic? I went to Iceland because of the wind, and that's the reason why I bought this, is because it's super windy in Iceland. I used it once, one time only. This is the video that I've used it in.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure. So I will take several of those. Yes, I don't want to have the gentleman in the back. I think it will be good. Let me know if it's okay or not.
I videotaped her. It was nice. I got a nice scene. She went out to help a lady that was about 200 feet away. I could still hear her. Wonderful. It's the only time I used it because it just wasn't convenient. As easy as it is to use, it's still an extra burden, an extra thing that you have to bring with you. So again, your budget. You could still buy 360, not the 360, yeah, you buy the 360 X3 at a good price. I wouldn't go with the lower models. The X3 is just wonderful. The Action 3 is really good enough. It's fine. The Action 4 that came out has a little bit more features, but not worth the price difference. So Action 3, whenever it rains, if you plan to go on the beach, whenever you want to go underwater, or snorkeling, or at the beach, or walking on streets when it rains and it pours, is like totally brain dead, IQ of a piece of furniture, nothing to worry about. Point and shoot, press the button, starts recording, press the button, stops recording. Just perfect. Big fan. I'm bringing this to all my trips. Never go home without it. And this is new, so I'll see how often I use this in Japan. I think I'm going to be using it quite a bit. For the reasons I mentioned of the low light capabilities and the 1-inch sensor that provides you that maximum resolution with the best stabilization, mechanical stabilization. And this camera only, and again, oops, sorry, for personal reasons, only and only if, to me, when I plan to shoot landscapes, shoot nature, shoot puffins in Iceland, mountains, really wonderful, but otherwise it's a bit bulky and it does bring attention to yourself. Out of all those cameras, the one that brings the most attention to yourself is the X3. You're holding it on top of your head and people like wonder, what's he doing? What is that? Here's a fun example of what I'm talking about. Michelle and I walking on the streets of Sorrento, coming back from buying this table at the boutique.
Say hello.
Hello. What is this?
360 camera.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
This is not technology that is well known. It's well known for the knowledgeable amateur, like I consider that I am. But some people recognize it, but some people feel intimidated by it because they automatically identify this like a Google Street View camera. So it's almost like I can't hide from the camera because obviously he's videotaping in 360. So to me, this is coming along with me in any trip. But the number one, iPhone. Number two, action cam. Number three, 360. If you have the time to edit, if you have the resources to handle 5.7K. And I would also say that unless you plan to be a YouTuber, unless you're planning to do this professionally, think about it twice before recording in 4K. It takes a lot of space in your SD card, takes a lot of space on your hard drive of your computer, and you need a relatively powerful computer to edit those videos in 4K. That's pretty much it. That's, as far as I'm concerned, what I know about travel cameras, and I just wanted to share with you. So if you enjoyed the video, please don't hesitate, like and subscribe. It really makes a difference in the algorithm and it would help out the channel. Thank you so much, and looking forward to come out with my Thailand video in a month or so. 1.5 terabyte of video footage. Oh my goodness. Thanks a lot.